Hare Krishna, everyone. Everyone doing good? All right. Thank you so much. So really happy to be here. In these days, we are awakening our consciousness to hear about Lord Nrsimhadev. So as we know, the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj Nrsimhadev, this is described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and it was for 7 days. So probably Nrsimha Katha was going on the maybe the 2nd or 3rd day, because 10, 11 and 12 cantos count for half of the Bhagavatam. So 2 days into the Katha, Sukadeva Goswami began describing all about this pastime. And before I go into the pastime, maybe I'll just give you some context. I want you to remember this word, open. Because if you remember this word, you'll be able to understand everything about the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam. Because the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam begins with a question by Parikshit. And Parikshit's question is Krishna equal to everyone? Is Krishna's mercy available to everyone? Is Krishna's grace open to everyone? And why does Parikshit have this doubt? Because he's hearing the Katha from Sukadeva Goswami, and all he's hearing about is how Krishna is killing the demons. Krishna is said in Vrindavan, Krishna killed a demon every day before lunch. Just to warm up. So Krishna is killing so many demons. It's a violent God. So Parikshit is a little confused. Not just that, the very Paribhasa Sutra, the emperor verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Ede chamshakala pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. The very most important verse of the Bhagavatam says that Krishna comes to this world to come to destroy who? Indra Ari. Ari means to be the enemy. And Indra Ari means the enemies of Indra, or the enemies of the demigods. And who are the enemies of the demigods? The demons. So Krishna's job description is Indra Ari, to be an enemy of the demons. So Parikshit is baffled because his conception is that the Lord should be equal to everyone. So therefore, this whole canto begins with this one question. And the whole canto is discussed because of this one question. So this is why questions are so important. If you ask one good question, then you can extract a lot of wisdom from a saintly person. Once I was driving His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, we were going to Leicester. So Leicester from London is a 2-hour drive. So as we got onto the motorway, I thought, I should ask the question. I don't know when I'll get this chance again. So I asked the question as we got onto the motorway. The answer lasted 2 hours. The amazing thing is, we reached the house in Leicester, and Maharaj spent another 20 minutes just in the car in front of the house, finishing off his answer. Because that's what happens when you ask one good question. No, I asked a big question. Then so much can come. So, Parikshit's doubt is that, is Krishna partial? So is he partial? And to answer this question, Parikshit basically recalls the conversation between Yudhishthira and Narada. Okay? You are aware of the hierarchy of the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is written by Vyasadeva. Agreed? And Vyasadeva, what is he describing? The conversation between Sudha and the sages. Okay? And Sudha and the sages, disappeared. Start again. Sorry. Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam. He was relating the conversation between Sutta and the sages. Sutta was recalling the conversation between Sukadev and Parikshit. And in order to answer Parikshit's question, Sukadev related many conversations. So in this particular instance, he's narrating the conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira. And this conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira spans for the whole of Canto 7. Okay? So this is a whole conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira. And what was Parikshit's original question? Is Krishna's mercy open to everyone? Just as I said that, the curtains open. That's very auspicious. So, his initial point is Krishna partial? And therefore the conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira is important because they begin relating the pastime of Shishupal being killed. Do you remember that pastime? Krishna was doing the Rajasuya. Krishna was present at the Rajasuya of the Pandavas. And before the sacrifice was about to commence, then they had to do Agra Puja. Agra Puja means who do you worship first? You have to worship and honor and respect the most eminent personality in the arena. And so Nakul, Sahadev, the Pandavas said, without doubt is Krishna. And so they started worshipping, eulogizing, honoring Krishna. And as all the respect was going to Krishna, Shishupal just couldn't handle it. And at one point, Shishupal became so enraged that he started saying, who is this boy being worshipped? He's just a cowherd boy in Gokul. And everyone was about to jump on Shishupal, and Krishna said, relax. Give him some time. Maybe he'll change. Krishna said, I'll tolerate up to 100 offenses. After that, I'll do something. So sure enough, it didn't take Shishupal much time before he racked up 100 offenses, and then at that point, Krishna manifested his Sudarshan Chakra, and in one clean shot, he decapitated Shishupal. He decapitated him in one clean cut, so that not one drop of blood would fall in the arena, because then that would defile the whole sacrifice. So Krishna did a clean job. So the most amazing thing was not Shishupal's decapitation. The most amazing thing happened after the decapitation, because Shishupal, the soul of Shishupal came out of the body and went into Krishna. And it said through Krishna it then went back into his original position. And so everyone was mystified. Wow, Krishna kills Shishupal, and still Shishupal gets such benefit that he gets that contact with Krishna. So Sukadev recites this conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira, where they're reciting this pastime to show that Krishna is not partial, but rather Krishna is reciprocal. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamiham. As they surrender, I remove them accordingly. So I'm not partial. I'm not partial to anyone. I just respond to whatever they desire. Man proposes, God disposes. So if they approach me with enmity, then I'll kill them. And if they approach me with love, then I'll embrace them. However, later on, what emerges is an even deeper truth, that Krishna is not just reciprocal, but Krishna is actually merciful. And what Krishna is trying to do is find any opportunity to give someone benefit. So, when Parikshit asked, is Krishna partial? It couldn't be further away from the truth, because the truth is actually Krishna is the complete opposite. He's completely merciful. So in your life, if you ever feel I'm being misjudged, people don't understand me, they don't understand what I'm doing, they don't understand my good intention, they don't understand how much I've done, don't worry, even Krishna was misjudged. Because that's the nature of life, people will misjudge you. So Krishna was misjudged. So therefore, Sukadeva Goswami set the record straight and he said, no, Krishna is not partial, he's reciprocal, but even more than that, he's merciful. And Krishna's mercy is open to everyone. Okay? So, if you remember this word, open, because remember, that's the word which begins this 7th canto. You can actually remember everything that happens in the 7th canto from this one word, because O stands for oppressive, ogre. You have the word ogre in South Africa? Yeah. Ogre means like a demon. Someone who's very, very violent, someone who's very, very, it's not nice. So the first 4 chapters of the Bhagavatam 7th canto are all about Hiranyakashipu and how Hiranyakashipu was so angry. Why was Hiranyakashipu angry? Anyone know? Because his brother Hiranyaksha had already been killed by Varahadev, by Vishnu. So Hiranyakashipu was angry. And therefore Hiranyakashipu was thinking, I need to get my own back. And therefore in these 4 chapters we hear about Hiranyakashipu's anger and also about Hiranyakashipu's fear that my brother got killed, maybe I'm also going to get killed. And therefore he does all these austerities to try to overcome his fear. Then Prahlad Maharaj. The second part of the 4th canto is all about the glories of Prahlad. How was Prahlad born? What did Prahlad learn in the womb? What was Prahlad doing when he went to school? How was Prahlad preaching to his schoolmates? And what happened when Prahlad was asked by Hiranyakashipu, what is the best thing you have learned? Good question. But he didn't like the answer. And therefore, we hear about in these chapters how Prahlad was also tortured. So these chapters are all about Prahlad Maharaj. And once we've heard about Prahlad, and we've heard about the oppressive ogre, Hiranyakashipu, then we're ready for the enraged entrance of who? Shridev. And therefore, these 3 chapters are all about how Nishingadev appears from the pillar. Nishingadev's appearance day means Hiranyakashipu's disappearance day. So, this whole violent scene is in our temples. That picture is there of Hiranyakashipu being ripped apart. Once a new person came to our temple, so they were mystified by this. You guys are like loving, non-violent. This picture. What is this picture? Devotee said, this is what happened to the last person who failed to give a donation. Hare Krishna. So therefore, the enraged entrance from the pillar. Satyam Vedatum Nijabhritya Bhashitam. The Lord appeared from that pillar to make the words of his devotee true. So, what are the most powerful emotions in the world? You know the 3 most powerful emotions in the world? Love, fear, and anger. And therefore, the first description of Hiranyakashipu shows the fear that someone who doesn't believe in God will have in their life. The second part of the seventh canto deals with love. What someone who has love, what they can encounter. You see, the weight of life is very, very heavy sometimes. But the question is, what is the weight of your love? If your weight of your love is very heavy, then it doesn't matter how the heaviness of life, the weight of life comes, it will never tip. Therefore, if you have love, you can deal with anything. And therefore, Prahlad Maharaj could deal with anything because he had so much love. And the final part deals with anger. Because Lord Nrsimhadev is angry. And therefore, if anyone thinks they can outmatch Nrsimhadev's anger, forget it. Even when it comes to becoming angry, no one can compete with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Bhagavatam contains all the emotions, isn't it? Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukharam mritadravya samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. The devotees are encouraged, pibata, drink what? Rasamalayam, drink the Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is rasa alayam. Alayam means a place, isn't it? So a library is known as Vidyalaya, a place where you get knowledge. A restaurant is known as Bhojanalaya, a place where you get. A hospital is known as Oshadhyalaya, a place where you get medicine. Like this, isn't it? The material world is a place where Dukhalaya, you get your fair share of miseries, death and taxes. It's all coming. And Bhagavatam is known as Rasalaya. Pibada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Drink it. Because here you can taste all the emotions, love, anger, fear, everything is there. And therefore, this whole part of the Bhagavatam is depicting Shuddha Bhakti, the pure devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. However, we are not there. We don't have that kind of devotion. We have what we call Mishra Bhakti, isn't it? Mixed devotion. And therefore, the last part of the Bhagavatam is Narada's instructions to Yudhishthira, because in these final chapters, the final 5 chapters of the Bhagavatam, Narad Muni explains the whole Varnashram system. And if you follow the Varnashram system, then even though you may be mixed in your devotion, by following Varnashram, you can develop Shuddha Bhakti, just like the great souls embodied. So this is basically the whole 7th canto of the Bhagavatam. It all begins from the question, is Krishna's mercy open? And then if you look, everything is described about the different emotions, and then about how we can enter into that world of pure devotion ourselves. So like this, the Bhagavatam, when you look very, very closely, is very, very logical. Is very, very comprehensive, and is very, very powerful in the teachings that can give you in order to attain pure love for Krishna. So today we're reading one verse from the 9th canto, 7th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we're reading from text number 5. So you can repeat after me. Swapadamule patitam tamarbhakam vilokya deva kripaya paribhuta Kalahi vitrastadiyam pitavayam Swapadamule patitam damarbhakam Viloke deva kripaya paripita Utapyatachish mudhat kalam Kalahi vitrastadiyam pitavayam Swapadamule patitam damarbhakam Viloke deva kripaya paripluta Uttapyatachishne dadhat kalam bhujam Kalahi vitrastadiyam pitavayam You want to try? Swapadamule patitam damarbhakam Viloke deva kripaya paripluta Swapadamule at his lotus feet, Patitam fallen, Tam in Prahlad Maharaj, Adbhakam only a little boy, Vilokya seeing, Deva Lord Nishingadev, Kripaya out of his causeless mercy, Paripluta, very much afflicted, in ecstasy, Uttapya, raising, Tachishni, on his head, Adadat, place, Kara Ambujam, his lotus hand, Kalahi, of the deadly snake of time, which can cause immediate death. Vitrasta, afraid, Vyam, to all of those whose minds, Krita Abhayam, which causes fearlessness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. When Lord Nishingadev saw the small boy Prahlad Maharaj prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in affection toward his devotee. Raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all of his devotees. This very beautiful picture. Nishingadev's hand, Tavakara Kamalavane Nakam Bhuta Shringami. Nishingadev's hand, which is so fierce, which have these nails which have ripped apart Hiranyakashipu, that same hand is now on the head of Prahlad Maharaj, and it's like a soothing hand which is granting him fearlessness. Purport. The necessities of the material world are four: Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, and Mepuna, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Sometimes in the Hare Krishna movement they say eating, sleeping, defending, and meeting. Meetings also good. In this material world, everyone is in fearful consciousness. Are you? Sada samudvigna dhyan. And the only means to make everyone fearless is Krishna consciousness. When Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, all the devotees became fearless. The devotees' hope of becoming fearless is to chant the holy name of Lord Nrsimhadev. Yado yado yami tado Nrsimha. Wherever we go, we must always think of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thus there will be no fear for the devotee of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is the seventh canto of the Bhagavatam, and as I was mentioning, Hiranyakashipu is very fearful. And Prahlad Maharaj is the complete opposite. He is completely fearless. And this is the measure of how much someone has developed spiritual consciousness. One who has no concept of what is beyond this world and beyond the temporary manifestations and interactions and experiences of daily life, they will constantly be in fear. Actually, Jiva Goswami, he confirms this, because Jiva Goswami, he looks at the Bhagavad Gita and he looks at the very first instruction that Krishna gives, and he looks at the very last instruction that Krishna gives. And what Jiva Goswami says is the very first instruction that Krishna gives is in 2:11. Asocyan vasocasvam pragyavadamscha bhashashe gatasun agatasumscha na anusochanti pandita na socha. Krishna says to Arjuna, don't lament, don't be in anxiety, don't fear. The very first instruction. And the very last instruction Jiva Goswami says that Krishna gives in the Gita is in 1866. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam saranam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Says ma sucha. Do not fear, do not be in anxiety. Do not lament, do not be bewildered. So Jiva Goswami says the basic condition of the human being is that they are fearful. That's why the very first thing and the very last thing Krishna says is don't fear. But in our minds we have so many fears. We're worried about our children, we're worried about our future, we're worried about our health. We're worried about what other people think of us. We're worried about whether we'll get enough prasadam. When we're happy, we're worried it will end. When we're unhappy, we're worried it will never end. Therefore, constantly this energy of fear is there in the living entity. Have you ever seen a pigeon? Pigeon is eating, but it's constantly like this, if you look, if you ever watch it. This is basically the human condition. We are kind of in life, but constantly fearful that something will go wrong, something will happen. And therefore, most of us can't actually live life freely because so many fears are holding us back, anxiety. And so Jiva Goswami says that the whole conversation of the Bhagavad Gita is meant to make Arjuna fearless. And that's what Arjuna says at the end of the Gita. Nasta moha shmiti labha tat prasadat mayachuna stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. He says, Nasta moha, all my illusion is gone. Shmiti labha, I've regained my memory. Stitosmi, I'm firm, I'm clear, I'm convinced. I have the courage. Gata sandeha, all my doubts have been dispersed. Karishye Vajanam Tava. Now I know when I wake up tomorrow what I need to do. I have no doubts. So the whole process of spiritual life is to become fearless. But here Srila Prabhupada says the only way you can become fearless is if you become Krishna conscious. And actually this whole pastime teaches us that if you try to become fearless in any other way than becoming Krishna conscious, you will be frustrated. Because Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad go about finding fearlessness in different ways. Hiranyakashipu is fearful. He's in a fearful situation because he knows my brother has already died, I'm the next one on the cards. So he's in a fearful situation. So what does Hiranyakashipu do? He approaches Brahma and he tries to get benedictions. I will not be killed in the day or the night. None. I will not be killed outside or inside. None. I will not be killed by man or animal. Done. I will not be killed in the air or on the ground. Done. I will not be killed in day or night. Done. Then he thinks he's covered all the bases. Therefore, Hiranyakashipu represents someone who tries to become fearless through practical arrangements. Put an alarm on your house, get an insurance policy, make sure you get the vaccination so you don't get a disease, make sure you get breakdown recovery for your car in case anything happens. Basically, we make all these arrangements in life. I'm not saying you shouldn't do any of those things, by the way, you can do them, but they won't make you fearless. Because eventually, Nrsimhadev comes and kills him and circumvents all of those arrangements. Prahlad Maharaj is also in a fearful situation. But what does he do? He follows Narada's instructions. Because remember, when he was in the womb of his mother, Kayadu, then they were in Narad Muni's ashram. And there Narad Muni gave so many instructions on the Bhagavatam. Not bad if you get instructed by Narad Muni while you're in the womb. Pretty good. And therefore, by following Narad's instructions, what did Prahlad do? He developed spiritual consciousness. He was trying to overcome fear by becoming conscious of Krishna. And therefore, eventually, Nrsimhadev came to save him. So, if you try to become fearless through material arrangements, you will fail. The only way to become fearless is to become spiritually conscious of Krishna. And this is basically what the whole 7th canto of the Bhagavatam is teaching us. That the greatest necessity in life is what are you doing every single day to increase your spiritual consciousness. Because that is what is going to determine the quality of your existence in this world. Because if you don't have that spiritual consciousness, then constantly you will be in bhaya, or fear. The Bhagavatam explains where bhaya or fear comes from. Bhayam vidya bhiniveshatasya dishadapetasya viparyayoshmati tanmayayato buddha abhajetam bhaktyayakayesham gurudevatatma. Where does bhaya or fear come from? It comes because ishadapetasya, you turn away from Krishna. Krishna bahir mukha hoya bhogavan chakare. If you turn away from Krishna, that's the first problem. Ishad Vedasya, then what happens? The very next thing, then Maya Yado, then you become covered by Maya. And then what happens? Vidya, you start living another reality that's not the real reality. This, dear friends, is just a computer game. Welcome to the Matrix. This is Vidya, it's not the real world. But because we've been covered by Maya, then Maya no, we don't get it. We think this is it, this is everything. And why are we covered by Maya? Ishada Vedasya, because we turned away from Krishna. So when you turn away from Krishna, there's Maya. When you're in Maya, you just see this second reality as the real reality. And then what happens? Bhaya. Then you're constantly fearful. So, if you want to switch it around, then it's very easy. Instead of turning away from Krishna, turn to Krishna. Then what happens? Maya dissipates. Krishna Surya Sama Hoya Maya Andhakar. Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is like the sun, and Maya is like darkness. Jaha Krishna, wherever there is Krishna, Maya Radhikar. No, there's no question of Maya remaining. So, the whole practice of Krishna consciousness is to actually try to see Krishna everywhere. And this can only be done if you're Krishna conscious. We don't see Krishna everywhere. We see other people, we see events of life, we see misfortune, we see problems, but we don't see Krishna. But what we have to understand, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakaranam Karanam. Krishna is behind everything. But we don't see that, that's the problem. But Prahlad Maharaj did see that because he was Krishna conscious. And therefore they asked him, were you not fearful when they threw you in the fire? And what was his answer? The fire pit represents the mouth of Vishnu, Yagyavai Vishnu. So if you put me in the mouth of my father, will I die? Pretty good. Never saw it like that. Prahlad Maharaj did. They said, Prahlad, were you not scared when they put you in a pit of snakes? Prahlad Maharaj said, all the snakes, they are servants of Ananta Shesh. And Ananta Shesh is the resting place of my father, Vishnu. And therefore the snakes are the servant of my father's servant. So if you put me in the room with the servants of my father's servants, would they cause me any harm? Wow. Said Prahlad Maharaj, were you not afraid when they gave you poison? He said, why? Because when the demigods and demons churned the milk ocean, then Lakshmi came out. But poison also came out. That means poison and Lakshmi are brother and sister because born from the same place. And if Lakshmi and poison are brother and sister, then that means that poison is my uncle. What's the problem? No problem. Yomam pasyati sarvatra sarvancha mai pasyati dashaham na pranashyami swachamena pranashyami. Krishna says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor are they ever lost to me. Stavara jagdam adeki, nadeke dharamurti. Moving or not moving, this event or that event, the devotee just sees Krishna everywhere. So the whole seventh canto of the Bhagavatam is teaching us how to become fearless. And this purport in particular, very, very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada is explaining, based on the translation, that just as when Nishingadev came and he put his hand on Prahlad's head, in that moment Prahlad felt all the fearlessness pervade his entire being. And this is our aspiration. And so this is what we're meditating on in this pastime. That may we also become fearless by becoming Krishna conscious. They asked Prabhupada, what do you feel when you chant Hare Krishna? And Prabhupada said, I feel no fear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada